Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second interview here with Aimee Tedoni, Awaken with Aimee, awakenwithaimee.com, AIMEE. You can see it on the screen there. We covered a lot in the first show, everybody. If you saw that first show, great. If you didn't, go check it out, because Aimee really touches on the depth of what it is that really causes the problems. If you're allowed to deal with it. People are tough. Don't be strong. Don't let that get into you. But you have to be allowed to feel it and then let it go through its process.
Process it, yes.
Okay.
Feel your feelings. Allow them. Let them come and let them go.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know how many people would have said, oh, you want to feel your feelings. You're being weak. You're not doing what you should be doing to deal with this. You should just push it aside and depress. We talked about that in the first show. You're actually depressing just to keep it from being dealt with.
Yes.
And then cover it with something that you can fix it with, whether that's alcohol, drugs, food,
shopping, exercise,
internet craziness,
yes,
and all of the stuff that goes along with that. So, well, so check out that first show, everybody. Lots of great information out there. You can see that on Your Little Castle show. You can see that on Aimee's website. We give all of our guests a copy of. We're doing 2 shows with Aimee. I talked to her and letting us talk about this for an hour now. So here's our second half hour. But I want to start off with a little bit. Tell me a couple of the success stories you've had. A couple of people you've worked with, testimonials that I know that you put those on your website, etc. But I want you to tell us about them real quick, and a couple of people you've already been able to show some success with.
Well, I'm working with a family who has done beautiful work, and I've worked with all 4 of them, mom, dad, and 2 sons, and now they have their son off of all medicines, off of anti-anxiety medications. So now they truly get to enjoy their son for who he is, in his true essence, not the disconnected, zoned out, medication-ridden person. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's the natural state that we all come into this planet with. And then, let's start off with, oh boy, we could get into vaccines and everything that has to go along with all of what they need to make sure that we're safe. But fear. Yeah, let's talk about that. We talked a little pregame prep. We did a little talk about why is fear the mechanism that is used, and why is it the method? How do you avert that? How do you get around that problem?
Fear is the driver for many things that we do. Fear is the driver for all of it, right? The underlying emotion tied to anxiety is fear. It undergirds all of human behavior. If we are allowed to feel our fear and acknowledge it and witness it, wow, I'm just feeling fear right now. Now I'm feeling a little anxious. I can breathe, talk to myself, tell myself I'm safe. Now my anxiety passes. But if we're not allowed to feel our feelings, then we're labeled and diagnosed with an anxiety disorder.
And therefore medication and the whole process starts, and it's hard to get out. You were in that system for 23 years before you finally tried an alternative approach where they actually, if you missed the first show, everybody, they literally opened her brain, or her skull open, and pulled out the damaged part. How did they detect where the damage was? Is there an MRI, or how do they figure out where the damage was?
They did, an MRI was hooked up to me for 2 weeks, and when I would have seizures, it would be on camera. So the behavior, so the behavior that I exhibited when I would go into a seizure would tell and alert the physician at the time where the seizures were stemming from.
Wow, that's powerful to be able to, at least we have the technology today. And why don't we use all the resources we've got? We've got so much we could be doing. Instead we're saying, take this medication, feel better. I won't get into the drugs that they give you that to cover things up, but they don't fix the problem, and then we end up getting worse. I mean, because your body's not dealing with this, just essentially it's becoming numb to it.
Yes.
And it can become a much longer stemming issue. Well, what is the one thing you think you would say that separates you? I mean, you talked about you're the only one in Missouri that offers a specific approach that you take. Talk about that and what separates you from the difference from what other people do.
Conscious parenting cares about deep inner healing. Conscious parenting is about the child and the parent relationship, not fixing the child. It is working on inner healing. What is happening inside of the parent that the parent is that is unhealed. Our children are our awakeners. They put the mirror up to our face on what we need to heal. What unresolved wounds from our childhood need to be healed. Hence why we are triggered. My child's not listening to me. I told them to pick up the blocks. My child's not listening to me. I told them to get in the shower. My child's not listening to me. I told her to put away her dishes. I am triggered now because I wasn't listened to in my childhood. And it takes me back to that pain, and that wound is open up and exposed.
Okay,
Yes.
so now
Then we deconstruct the trigger. When we understand why we are triggered, then we can bring it to awareness. When we bring it to awareness with the technique of mindfulness, we can accept it. When we accept it, we can heal it. And then the pattern doesn't repeat itself.
Okay, so it's a little bit of acknowledging the issue versus the other approach, which seems to be more traditional in our culture.
Yes.
And it's to say, push over that, be strong, and act as if it's not even going on, versus
Right.
tackling it, acknowledging it and saying, yes, but I can beat this. And because our bodies, our mind, we're equipped with the skills to do this by nature.
Yes.
We're not allowed to use those tools, it seems.
Well, the traditional parenting paradigm says that it's hierarchical, it's dogmatic, it's linear, it's top down, right? It's I'm the boss and you listen to me. And that is not what conscious parenting teaches. Conscious parenting teaches that this is a dance, right? I'm going to give to you, you give to me. I listen to you, you listen to me. Your voice matters. You matter, right? It's an art. It's a fine line of walking the tightrope. How do I care for my child, but let my child have agency? How do I teach my child, right, without enabling my child? What is the fine line? What is the dance, right? Conscious parenting is symbiotic. It is a kinship. This is a mutual kinship and relationship where we are equal. It's not hierarchical. We are equal.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you, my dad would say, I think we have doubled our knowledge today with regard to how much information Aimee is sharing with us here, because this is in depth. This affects virtually every child is going to go through some situation like this, and especially when they're not given the skills. Again, I think I was very fortunate because I had two parents both involved with education. So neither one of them was like, this is the way it is and you do it or else. They were both, all right, we've been educated, we understand how to process this, and we can overcome this with the right resources and acknowledging what's going on here and dealing with it. How often is that not the case in our culture, and why is this kind of a new paradigm that you said it's not really, it's new to this culture, but it's something been going on for centuries, I guess, around the world, but not here?
So it's new to the scene, but it's becoming more and more prevalent. So it's new to the scene since 2020, I would say, that I learned about it and the teachings. But traditional parenting and traditional parenting books, traditional parenting coaches tell you, right? They give you all the books on how you're the boss, be the boss, the child listens to you, and that isn't what is healthy, and that isn't what conscious parenting teaches. Okay.
So this is a new, relatively new, like 2020 is really new in the world of how many years they've been going through the different psychological tactics and approaches you can take to help people to overcome. But how far back has there been the method to say, take this drug, take this opioid or whatever it is that's going to help to cover this, or to at least relieve the pain? Again, so if people understand what's going on there, that's not fixing the problem. That's just making the issue not surface, so that there's an alarm going off, and we're just saying, snip the wire to the alarm. We don't want to feel that, and it helps you to deal with it from the perspective now you don't feel that pain anymore, but you're not fixing the problem.
You're not fixing the problem at all. You're not acknowledging the problem. You're not healing the problem. You're depressing the problem. The medicine is just a crutch. The medicine is for temporary relief. And don't get me wrong, there are many instances and many cases where medicine is a beautiful thing.
Sure.
But when it comes to mental health, anxiety, depression, that is where medicine is just temporary. But if you aren't seeking any type of coaching or help, then that is just simply a mask. And the problems don't get any better. The healing doesn't happen, right?
Okay, and that's where I was recalling something where my mom told me years ago. She said, Carter, every once in a while you need something that rubs you the wrong way. And that's where her argument was, I needed to take piano lessons. And I said, no, I don't need to take, I wish I had taken piano lessons. Now, we sat down at, we were at Carroll House the other day getting some furniture for one of our business dealings we have, and they had a piano, and I started playing the piano. I'm like, gosh, what if I had taken piano lessons all my life? But I wanted something. I said, no, I don't need something that rubs me the wrong way. But what you're kind of saying is, when you don't allow yourself to deal with something that's rubbing you the wrong way because you've just masked it because I want to feel good, now you're not dealing with the issue, so you're not going to solve the problem.
That's right. And that's why there's a mental health crisis now, because everyone is afraid to feel pain. People don't want to be allowed to feel pain. No one wants to address pain. They just want to mask it. Let's take a medicine and mask it. We don't have to feel pain. We don't have to wait for anything, right? We can just have everything at our fingertips, right? Technology we can have dinner at our fingertips. Let's just order this and get this and see this and do this now. No one has to wait. No one has to feel anything, right? We live in a culture of immediate now.
Immediate gratification.
Yes.
Let's give me what I feel and need at this exact moment as fast as possible. And
That's
if there's
right.
anything that makes me feel uncomfortable at all, there's something out there that can make me feel better. And that's where people do get then involved with alcohol, drugs, and all the other
Shopping, gambling,
eating, and all of those things that now cause the problem to actually become masks and then therefore worse because you're not dealing with the issue.
That's right.
Well, we talked a little bit about how technology has affected your industry and what you're doing to help people, because now it's not just a matter of, I remember when I wanted to get access to whatever, we would have to go to the library or whatever. Now you just flip on the computer and everything that you want to see, good or bad or different, is there.
Yes.
And there's no hesitancy to get that immediate gratification for whatever it is you seek. Is that where technology has really affected us?
It has, and one of the biggest complaints that I receive from my clients is screen addiction. Being on the screens.
Got the phone out.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't use my phone during the show, but there it is. And we've got the bigger screens now, and all of a sudden, everything I needed is right there, and I can ignore people sitting right around me.
Yes. Yes. Yep. Being on the screen, which is disconnected from the self. When we are scrolling, we are disconnected from self.
Gotcha. Something you don't want to be. Nobody should be disconnected from themselves. That sounds like a bad thing. That's right. Okay. Well, tell me a time when you feel like, can you give me one specific example of when you helped somebody and you knew they were in a tough situation and you said, there's got to be lots of those now by the time you've done this for a while, and you really felt good about what you did to make an impact to help people. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So I worked with them this morning, this family that I've been working with, and their children. They have two children, and working with them to get their child off of anti-anxiety medication. And we talked about it, and we've talked about it, how there's a different road, there's a different way for your child to feel his fear, to acknowledge his anxiety, to feel his feelings instead of mask them. Yeah, we keep coming back to that theme, that is, as long as we cover up what's going on and don't address the issue, which is the way our culture is trained. It is. Then you're never going to solve the problem. That's right. Pain is the only portal to growth. We have to go through the fire pit of the inferno and feel the pain, right? My ideal client is the parent who says, I can't do this anymore, who wants to just lie in the fetal position on the floor and not be a parent. I can't do this anymore. That's when transformation is going to occur, when the parent is in the portal of the pain. That is a beautiful place to be. I always use the analogy, if you could see everything perfectly, if you didn't have any issues with your sight, if you could see up close, you could see far away, you had excellent vision, would you ever go to the nearest eye store and have an eye exam or think about buying glasses or contact lenses?
Yeah, of course not.
You wouldn't, because you wouldn't need to, right? But if you are working on yourself and doing the inner work and changing and growing, then you are doing the work and aspiring. But if you aren't and you're in that pain, then you seek out the help that you need. When you move into that portal, the portal of pain, that's when growth is coming. And many people are apprehensive when it comes to this line of work because they're afraid of change, or they're scared of uncertainty. And I want to say that it's okay to be afraid of change. It's okay to be afraid of uncertainty. But it's okay, and there is more to come with that. That is, when we move and feel our feelings, feel the fear, feel the sadness, feel the uncertainty, right? Then we can move into growth.
Right. How often is there something, because we've never experienced it, it's very alarming. It's something that's stressful.
Sure.
But as you start to go, by now I've gotten old enough to where I feel like if there's nothing I can't overcome at this point. It's just something new, and it might be something I have to learn from or adapt to. But once I'm willing to engage, now I will be able to take on that opportunity. Versus if I had perfect sight, why would I ever figure out if there was any way to improve upon what I had there?
That's right.
And so fortunate for most of us, we don't have that perfect situation, and we are forced to experience some of that. But you should engage into that, you're saying. A lot of people, and they won't, because they've been trained to push things off and feel immediate gratification and not deal with what's going on.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right, well, let's talk a little bit about it. If somebody decides, okay, Aimee, I need your help, tell me the process a little bit more about what people go through as they say, I'd like to engage with you to figure out how you can help me. What's the process for that?
So they can go to my website and fill out the intake questionnaire. It's 3 questions, and they can book a 30-minute free discovery call on my website. And this 30-minute free discovery call, we talk about what your struggles are, what is happening, what do you wish to receive from conscious parenting, and we see if we're a good fit to work together.
Yeah, there it is on the website, on the screen for everybody to see. But yeah, now it's a matter of taking those steps to get through and say, I'm interested. So you have 3 questions there, and what do you hope to receive, what are the goals, and some specific topics. And once people have gotten that far, now you've had enough to build on. And you say, all right, now we can understand a little bit what the underlying issues here, or where does it go from there? And you try to walk them through the healing process. How do you proceed from there?
And so we meet, and then we talk about what our goals are, how we're feeling. And I want to say this, with my practice, there is no contract. You are free to go whenever you want. You could book 1 session, you could book 4 sessions. But the technique that I use in my practice, using mindfulness, what's happening right now, we see immense healing in 2 sessions, in 2 months, but generally in 2 to 4 months, we see immense changes and immense connection and growth. It isn't like traditional therapy, where you sit on the couch for 2 years and you talk and talk and talk, right? Talking about your past.
Right.
This isn't that dynamic. We talk about your past briefly. We touch on it because it has jewels and wisdom in it. And what is happening now is important. Your past is what brought you to the present moment. And then we work on what's happening now. Why are you feeling the way that you are feeling? And start working from there. We work from the inside out.
Some real results driven. My mom has talked to me. She says, Carter, a lot of these counselors, they're in the method of, if you lose a client, it's like somebody stops working out. Oh, well, then how am I going to help you if you're not coming to counseling? But you're saying, no, we're trying to get to levels where we've made improvements and there are results.
Yes.
So this isn't something you need to dig into and rehash a history forever and ever. But how do we improve and grow and learn from what happened and then resolve the issue?
And with conscious parenting coaching, I provide you with the language, with the tools, with the wisdom and the knowledge along with the healing. So we're healing, and I'm giving you all the tools for your toolbox to go out in life and to cope, to connect, to have the harmony in your family.
There you have it, everybody. If you feel as though Aimee has connected with you on multiple levels, like I have, that's where I have to break out the cowboy hat here, everybody. I've got my Cardinal cowboy hat. This is when you feel like there's a difference being made in our culture and our community. Aimee is really doing so, and doing so in a meaningful way, because you're actually seeking the resolution to get people through the problem, like yourself. For somebody who'd been through this for 23 years, you said, without having any real revelations to get into any kind of a practical normal life, having seizures all that time. And then one day, I'm going to try something different. And then and you found something, and now you're sharing that with other people. Is that really kind of what's going on here?
Yes. Yes.
That's great.
It's my passion. Yeah, to share that.
Well, follow your passion, and you'll never work a day in your life, everybody.
That's right. That is exactly right.
Well, awesome information there. Tell me, we kind of touched about this a little earlier, but tell me, one big challenge you overcame that you felt like kind of helped initiate all of this, and is it what you went through? What would you say the biggest challenge you had to help people understand that? If you missed the first show where we talked about that a little bit, what was the big challenge kind of led to where you are now?
A challenge for me is that I'm the only one in the state of Missouri offering these teachings, having this coaching practice with this dynamic and this method. So it's not very common. So I want people to understand that there is help out there for you. You don't need 2 years. You don't need all kinds of money. You don't need medicine, right? Healing can occur, and you can work towards it now.
There you go. That's what we want to hear, because how often do we have problems where we see they're ongoing and lingering, and there's no resolution, and that's not the way to deal with things. And it's just helping to fill the coffers of those who are producing the medications or the treatments that are out there that aren't really fixing the issue. And I'd say most people, once you feel, I even get the argument. I'm going to get in trouble maybe for this, but I know there's going to be some people. But how long is it before you're doing something? And I'm not going to get any specific industry, but you know what's going on is not fixing the problem, is not effective to improve the planet, but you're making a lot of money at it.
Right.
And so, do you sleep well at night, though? I mean, ultimately, the true definition of happiness is not having a lot of money. It's, do you feel like you've had an impact? So why do we continue to jam down the throats of some of the people on our planet things that we know aren't working, but is making money, versus wouldn't you rather be able to sleep at night? We all have that conscious side of us that allows us to feel as though maybe we're making a difference, and that's what makes you feel good about being alive. I told my son, Mom, I'm in position now, whenever I was in my career, making lots of money. She goes, Carter, you know that's not what makes you happy. And I'm fortunate to have a teacher to help me with that. But that's the problem we seem to have come across and it's a human problem, I guess. But you're helping us alleviate that and to deal directly with the issue that people aren't willing to deal with on their own many times.
Yes, to figure out what their true purpose is, to figure out who they truly are, to help people understand why they feel the way they do. Why do I feel this way when my child doesn't pick up his blocks? Why do I feel this way when my husband answers me in a stern voice? Why do I feel this way why do I immediately feel this way when my employer says, I need to see you in my office? Why do I feel like I need to please everyone all the time? Why do I feel like I have to be a perfect mom? Why do I feel the way I do?
And so often we are trained to respond to that, to say, I don't want to deal with this, push it aside. That's our with the joke that the Neanderthal feeling we have from our old programming that comes from the lizard brain, they'll call that, right? Where they say, I'm not going to deal with this, just get through it and show some frustration and get the people, how often I've lost my temper before, asked my buddies when I was playing basketball with them, right? But that's not how you and when you want to deal with a problem, that's not the way to go about getting it resolved.
That's right. We talk about it. Talk about why you're feeling the way that you do. Why am I feeling this way? Why did I react in such a harsh manner when you spilled your milk on the table. Why?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Well, as we finish up here, we got a few more questions to go through, but we got a couple important ones I want to make sure we cover. But tell me, what is one major objection people have when considering signing up for you to help them? What's a question they have before they decide they would say, oh, well, tell me this first. What is one biggest thing that people have to understand?
Because when people come to me and we talk about the process, sometimes people feel like it's an ongoing process, that it's going to be very heavy and very time consuming, and they don't really know what to expect from it. So I would say the unknown is one that is a driver for apprehension in society now. But like I said, in my practice, there's no contract, there's no paperwork to sign for anything. You're free to come and go, to book 1 session, to book 4 sessions, but you will see immediate results, right? The healing happens soon. It's quick. The therapeutics start working in the first session.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. So with that, as we've got about 2 minutes left here, what gives you the most satisfaction about what you get to do here? I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, you've got to feel really good about what you get to do to make a difference in people's lives. And the results you've seen, the results you've personally experienced, what is it that makes you feel so good about what you do?
When I help people, I in turn help myself. And helping people is purpose-driven, right? I do the inner work in my spare time, and then I take it and I use it and use the teaching and the wisdom in my profession. And helping people is my purpose. It's always has been, always will be. This is my mission, to help people.
You sleep well at night if you are helping other people. That's what I've talked about. If you want to be happy, go out and help somebody.
That's right.
People say, well, I don't know why things aren't going my way, and I don't understand what's going on in my life because I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just like, have you helped somebody? Have you gone out of your way to make a difference? And when you do that, it comes back around. That's the way God made the system. And if you'll acknowledge that and deal with it and work with it versus always trying to challenge and conquer and take over, you're saying, go out there and make a difference because your purpose-driven career you've got here, you really get to, you sleep well at night. I guess, don't you?
Yes. I love what I do. I love what I do. I love the highlight of my day is when I can take a client and have them see a breakthrough, recognize their patterns, acknowledge their patterns, acknowledge what happened in their childhood so they can heal it. And then I heal humanity because their children don't have to carry the suitcase of all their trauma wounds anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've hoped you've learned a little bit here as we continue to discuss. We're finishing up show number 2. We're going to go in for show number 3 coming up. No, but we could definitely go into a lot more information here. Aimee, thank you for your time. You're watching the Your Little Castle Show.